Hi there, Stampers. It's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I go live every Monday and um, Thursday at 2:30 Mountain Time. I'm thinking I'm getting an echo, so I'm trying to make that go away. Um, Hopefully that made that go away. I am working with brand new software on a brand new computer, and I'm a little on the stressed side, so bear with me a little bit. Um, I am going to be doing a fun fold card today. Of course, I'm as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, everything I use is Stampin' Up! Related and can be purchased in my online store. And this is what we're making today. So what we're going to learn how to do is this nifty little slide over. Good, it doesn't sound echoey. Thank you. It did last week, so trying to get used to it. But I'm going to move you down onto my desk, and we're going to get started on our card. I'm not able to figure out how to move the little box around with my face. It's kind of stationary, so I'm going to take that away so it doesn't get in the way of our card. Um, and here is an up-close look at the mechanism that slides over our card. And if you see that from the back side, that's how it's going to slide. So fairly simple. It looks complex, but it's not. Those are my favorite kinds of cards. We're going to be using the one of a kind bundle. We've been using this a couple times this week and last week. I really love it. It's really pretty, and this is one of my favorite color combinations. Is we're using Highland Heather, Balmy Blue, and Fresh Freesia together. So it's wintry, but not exactly Christmassy. I mean, I suppose it could be. Some people do a pink Christmas, but I don't. I'm a red and green Christmas kind of girl, but I still like this for other things. As I said, this is an inexpensive set, and then it comes with just a couple of dies, but they do lots of great combinations. We're going to start out with our card base that is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. And I know that's really different, but we're going to score this at 4 1/4 so that when we fold it, and I usually fold things in half on my trimmer. Did you know that you can butt it up against the bottom and then fold this over, then kind of push back into it, and that's going to give you a nice flush edge where they're even because it pushes it in there. Okay. Of course, you always want to burnish them with a bone folder, make sure they're good and solid. I have a couple more pieces here. The back of our card here is 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. And then I've got a 1/4 inch that we have folded over. So it's going to end up being 5 1/2. Once we take this off. And then we've got a front of our card in Highland Heather that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So see, those are going to go together. And then this is going to be inside. And then we have our sliding mechanism that's going to go over, and that is 4 1/4 by 3, scored at 2 3/4. And that's going to allow it to hide on the other side of the card. Okay, so you'll see how that goes together. I've got some pieces up here for some die cutting. So I'm going to do the snowflake out of our Fresh Freesia, and then I've got 2 round circles that we're going to do out of the Highland Heather and the Balmy Blue. And those are going to go here and here. Okay, I'm going to put adhesive sheet on the back of the piece for the snowflake because I don't like adding adhesive glue to the back of that because it gets messy for me. So I'm going to pull out one of my adhesive sheets. These come at 6 inches by 12. And then what I'm going to do is just cut a piece to fit. So I'm going to measure this, and it's almost 3, almost 4. Sometimes I just do a large piece because I know I'm going to be doing more self-adhesive with the color, but I wanted to keep these pieces kind of small so we could work with them here on the desk. They're cracked in the back, so what you do is you kind of peel off this part, and then it's leaving that very, very sticky. And we're going to place that down onto our cardstock. And adhere it to the back. Okay, so now when I die cut out of this, it's going to make it a sticker. You'll notice we have these holes, and so that's going to be some more die cutting in that I want this circle to go all the way through. And my score line is on there. So I'm moving my score line over to this side. So it's going to open this way. And then I'm going to set my Highland Heather on top. And it's going to go through both layers. And it may or may not do that on the machine, but you'll see what I mean. We will fix that because this will, at least when I run them through all at the same time, it's going to give me the same placement, and then I can follow through with just replacing the dies. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could probably stick this down with Post-it note, washi tape, one of those things, because you want this to stay pretty steady when you load it onto the platform. I'm using a chrome precision base plate because then I only have to use one plate that will get all the ickies on it and crack. The bottom plate I never have to replace. And that is on my website. There's a link to that. Okay, so being very careful to position these. I'm going to run it through the cut and emboss machine, and I'm having to use the larger one because it's more than 3 inches. So I put it in there and I ran it through and I ran it back. Now, when I pull this off, see it went all the way through the, ooh, you know what? I did that a little wonky, didn't I? I only meant to use the smaller one. So we're going to have a bigger hole. Okay. So now I just need to load my bigger one on here. And it kind of fits into the groove. So you can feel it when it hits the right spot. You could also draw with a pencil if you wanted to. Okay, so because I made this hole a little bigger, I'm going to need this larger one to do my frame around it. So I need a little bigger piece here. See, this is how we adapt when I screw up on camera. But I'm going to take the circle that I made the middle out of, this hole here, and then I'm going to use one slightly larger, and that's going to give me my ring. I knew this new setup was making me nervous, but geesh. Okay. So by running the two together, you get this nifty little ring, and then this ring will fit around the hole. Okay. So I'm going to have one on the front. I think we'll do blue out there and purple on the inside. So I need a Highland Heather version. And then we'll need our snowflake. And then all our die cutting will be done. So I'm going to use the detailed one. And when I run this through, I'm going to run it through the cut and emboss machine, either flush over to the left or flush over to the right, because you get a tighter sandwich, I guess, on the edges. So if you have something that's small and very detailed, push it far to the left or far to the right, and it's going to cut better for you. And I'm going to take the take your pick tool and just pop out these little pieces. All right. So now we're ready for some stamping, because I always suggest that you stamp before you assemble. So I want it to go on the back of our card. So what I want to do is lay this on here, and I'm going to stamp right through the center right here. Now I can either stamp right directly through the hole, or I can use a pencil and then align the pencil. This would be a similar way of what you would do with the dies. If you wanted to just cut through this one, and then when you got to this piece, you could lie it on there and then draw the circle, and then that's where you would place your die to make the circles to go through there. And then we're just going to do some smaller snowflakes on this 2-inch strip. So this is 2 by 4 1/4. That's just going to be decorative on the front. I tried to find some designer series paper that I could do with this, and I just didn't like them. So I'm creating my own designer series paper by just pulling out some stamps and some basic white paper. Right. Oh, and then we'll have this. This is going to slide over, and we'll, and that's why the hole should have been smaller. Darn it. Okay. So this piece is going to go this way. I'm going to need to trim this off a little bit because it's going to interfere with my circle. But we're going to make this work. Okay, so this one's going to adhere to the front over here, and this one's going to adhere here. So both of my little 1/4-inch strips are going towards the front of the card. So I know this is the side I want to stamp onto. And then it's going to again go over this circle. So let's see, let's go ahead and adhere it. So I'm using tear and tape on this little 1/4-inch strip. Sorry if I'm a little frazzled today. I'm usually pretty good with technology, but still, I was so used to the other software that changing has thrown me off some. I apologize for that. Okay, so that one is going to go right here on this far edge away from our circle. I want it to just cover up the little score line, just so it'll be hidden in the back, but as far to that edge as I can get it. So way up against the edge. Then when I open the card, it's going to slide that way. Let's see. So let's put this one on. I can't really stamp this one before adhering because I can't find the circle otherwise. All right, so this one is going to go right here. So see, that's where that one goes. Oh, okay, so this part is adhering to the front here. So for that one, I'm going to just use some regular adhesive. For any of our viewers out in Florida, that's been like all over the news. I hope you stayed safe and didn't lose anything. Didn't sound good over there. Okay, so now I've got my front on. So now this will slide over, and that's where I want to stamp. So this is where my sentiment is going to go. So I'm going to do that in Balmy Blue. And I need the stamp set. So I'm going to use Sending a Flurry of Wishes. And with my circle situated there, I'm going to stamp right in the center. Then I can flip all of this over to the side, and now I can do my stamping around it, and I'm not held back by that circle. So let's pull out our 3 colors. And do some snowflakes. I'll grab some little blocks. All right. So I'm just going to do some of these kind of randomly. So let's see how that looks. I like the look of that. We can do a couple more. Let's see. We need just a couple more right over here, huh? There we go. All right. And for this one, because I drew the circle, we're going to need to erase that off of there. All right, so what do we need next? Oh, our more stamping. We were doing the strip. That's what I started with. Okay, so I have this little swirl that I'm going to use. So I'm going to start out with that. I kind of start out with the largest ones first and then work my way down to the smaller ones. But again, I'm trying to make designer series paper, so if you look at your paper when you cut it, it does kind of roll off the edge like that. So don't be afraid to stamp off the edge. It doesn't all need to be on the paper exactly right. I don't know who it was. Somebody just told me to watch Emily in Paris on Netflix. Is anybody else watching that? I've become like, I don't know, binge watching it lately. And it's not something I can do while watching. I saw one of you say that you can't multitask anymore. You cannot watch Emily in Paris and craft at the same time because they're always looking at something on their Instagram account. So they're always looking at their phone, and then they speak French sometimes, so there's subtitles. So I don't know, I'm almost kind of sorry I found it because now I'm not multitasking. The best way I've found to do random is to start out with your larger items first, start out in the center and work your way out because you can always run things off the edge. But if you have a big old empty circle in the middle, it's really hard to fill. So that's my best advice there. I tend to be too methodical or too patterned to do random very well because of my accounting background. I did accounting and office management before doing this full time. And I'm really hoping the economy doesn't force me to go back to doing accounting because this is so much less stressful. But people are just not ordering like they used to. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap some ribbon around that edge. So Melanie says she's watching Emily in Paris too. It was really good. I found something like Heartland to be easier to watch while crafting because I can listen to it a lot. I don't have to look at the TV so much. And then I've also been listening to books on tape while I craft, and I found I can get those from the library. Did you know the libraries now have also got digital? I downloaded an app that the library recommended, and I can stream books to my phone, and then they just return after 14 days, and there's never a late fee. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some ribbon. I've got our sheer ribbon with the silver edge to it here. And I'm going to make a bow. So I'm going to bring in my bow maker tool. This is, again, something I sell on the website. My husband makes them. I'm going to wrap it around the back, and then I'm going to do what I call kind of like a cancer ribbon. And so the one that's on top, I'm going to tuck underneath, and I'm going to bring it up and over the top. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. Okay. Now, whatever direction I pull the tails in, if I pull them straight out to the side, that's the direction they're going to go. If when doing the knot, if I had pulled them down low, then they would have gone that direction. So it depends on how you're applying the bow to your card. But I want mine straight. And then I want enough that I can wrap it around the back and adhere it. And then I'm going to adhere it with mini glue dots because there is kind of a texture to the ribbon, and the glue dots are thicker and give it a little more something to grab onto than the seal would. And liquid glue, I found, just goes right through the holes and does me no good at all. So if you can do ribbons with liquid glue, you're my hero. I made a huge mess. Okay, so I've got two at either end because the sheer ribbon is kind of stubborn. And then I'm just wrapping it around the back. So it's in here, attached inside my card. Okay. And I'm not going to put a rhinestone or anything in the middle because it might interfere with the little sliding piece that goes across. So if you're going to add any embellishments of rhinestones or sticky items, put them on the outside so that that little sliding piece doesn't go and catch it. But that's how it goes together. We have our 4x4, or 4¼ by 4¼ doubled in half. So 4¼ by 8½ is this piece right here. I've got my standard front of 4¼ by 5½, and that piece went onto it, and this piece went onto it. Then onto the back of my 4x4 is this piece that makes my back of the card, that again ends up being a 5½ by 4¼ It was actually 5 3/4 to get this. That makes it 5½. So any questions? Hopefully I've made it simple enough that you can all follow along and create your own. Oh, I didn't put my rings on. That's what's missing. Definitely want the one on the inside. The outside one might get in the way because I messed up and made the hole too big. I mean, I think the snowflake actually looks better in the bigger hole, but I guess I would have had to have made this 1.5 or 1 3/4 to use the biggest circle. But again, I'm going to just use a little tiny bit of glue and put that here. Okay, so that's with the smaller hole, and this is with the larger hole. So when you screw up a card, don't consider everything lost. Things can be fixed. You just have to think a little outside the box. So hopefully you took that as a way to learn from my mistakes instead of focusing on the fact that I screwed up on camera. I do have Monday's card because Monday's card is my craft along with me. So if you placed an order in September, you will be getting this kit in the mail. They've already been mailed. So you have all the pieces you need to craft along with me and make this card using the Splendid Autumn Designer Series paper and again a peekaboo hole. So we'll get to try that peekaboo hole again next time. And good news with the prize patrol, I think I am going to still ask that you share it in order to be included into the drawing. But I have found some software that I think will connect it to YouTube, and YouTube has something like YouTube Games. But I'm trying to figure that out. So please bear with me as I work on that. And again, I will do a drawing of the names of people who shared and liked this video. And ooh, it went sideways. Let's do away with that. Sorry about that. So, like I said, new technology. I apologize. So I am going to be doing drawings, and apparently I can get it to do it like I used to do it before. I just need to figure out the technology of it. So please bear with me as we kind of do the prize patrol manually in between. And I apologize, I did not get a chance to create the wheel, so I will do that for next time, I promise. I will get my stuff together and do a drawing for last week's card, or last time's card, Mondays, and today's on Monday. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you back here Monday for the Craft Along with Me peekaboo card. Thank you so much. Bye.